this show, I welcome all to this Amul's Let's Talk Food Show. And if I give you a brief about this show, I think on April 17th April, when everybody was fed up with the lockdown, and that time, I mean, we decided how to engage people. I mean, everybody was trying lot of recipes, and then we also understood that people are talking lot of things about होरेका होरेका नहीं चलेगा, अभी होरेका खत्म है, ये है. तो हमने सोचा कि अमूल जो भारत की नंबर 1 फूड कंपनी है with more than 50,000 करोड़ रुपीस टर्नओवर, एंड जिसकी ओनरशिप किसानों की है, 36 लाख किसान के ओनर्स हैं. तो जो खाना प्रोड्यूस करते हैं वो इसको प्रोसेस करते हैं, वही अपने ब्रांड में इसको भारत के कोने कोने में पहुंचाते हैं. So we thought, why not we engage people? So we started this on Facebook live session for this session. So every day from 17th April तकरीबन 10 Facebook live session हम रोज भारत के फेमस शेफ जो होते हैं होटल्स के, रेस्टोरेंट्स के, कैफेज के, उनको लाते हैं. और टिल नाउ total 125 sessions we have shown, and every day we get 2 million minutes of viewership on the Facebook, and till now 70 crore accounts on the Facebook have seen our this one. So then we thought of, let us have on some solid topic a live chat show. So that is why I invited the famous authority Shri Suvir Saran जो कि we know कि is a Miss Michelin Star Award winner है, और also 3-4 books लिखी हैं. And he is an author, educator, but one thing I like most is he is the farm advocate, because he always protects and educates farmers. And we are very happy to welcome Miss Mayra Chandani ji. We know his skills to interrogate, call, ask questions, even the tough people also. And anytime you need expert opinion, expert advice, Dr. J.B. Prajapati is there. And topic of today is basically, we know that Amul is a food. And food, I mean, after working 38 years in this India's food company, I know people buy food basically for 3 things. First is taste, then nutrition and health, and third is now people look for natural and locally produced food. So that is why we thought of topic dairy versus analog. Because today if you see in the industry anywhere, there are analog for any food product. Earlier used to be butter versus margarine, then frozen dessert came for ice cream, then cheese analog came. Now I believe all khoa, mithais, or analog product, or milk powder analog. I don't know, tomorrow we may get analog Bhagwan or analog Bacche also. The way industry is producing.
We're going there.
So now I leave it to Maya ji to start the show, and she is free to ask the question to the panelists, and she'll be also getting question on the chat box. So later on she can decide whenever she wants to start it. So welcome, sir. Now I give it show to Maya ji.
Thank you, Mr.
Right. Thank you so much, Sodhi Saab, for that wonderful introduction. I mean, just a couple of things that for me as a normally a political journalist and a researcher, analog has a whole different meaning as somebody in the broadcast media. Digital and analog mean two totally different things. So I've had to wrap my head around what it means in the context of dairy. So Suvir, thanks for giving me a little bit of a brief on that earlier in the day. But also I was quite curious, considering that Sodhi Saab said that there are other food journalists who have signed on as participants, why I am the one moderating this. I do love food. I can't argue with that. And I enjoy being in the kitchen as a hobby. I know Suvir has already posted on my latest Instagram post, but it has nothing to do with the topic, so we won't go there right now.
I have the answer.
Huh.
we looked for many of the other food journalists, but only the analogs were available. We wanted the real one.
So you are the real.
Right. Okay. So thanks. All right. As long as I'm not a digital robot, it's all good. But Suvir, tell me something. I mean, why really are we discussing the sort of dairy versus analog? What does it mean? And I know that you are everywhere you're going and everywhere you're speaking these days, you're sort of starting your experiments and your conversations with music, with a song. So I don't know. I mean, is there a song about dairy, about milk, about dalda, about, I don't know, butter? What? Because I mean, we're all right now in lockdown. We could do with something light. We could do with something yummy. And I know Amul's products are all quite yummy. But tell us whether you have a song for this occasion. What is that? I have a tin as well in my kitchen. I have one.
No, I'll tell you. Choti choti gaue, chote chote gwal, chote se hamare madan gopal. Kya khaye gaue, kya khaye gwal, kya khaye hamare madan gopal. घास खाए गौए दूध पिए ग्वाल मक्खन चुराए हमरे मदन गोपाल. So there you go. There are songs about doodh, makhan and malai and ghee.
Yeah.
The reason we are talking about is that this ghee, this makhan and this cream, these are the real deal. And what's happening in the industry is there's something dangerous that has a beautiful name called Banaspati. Banaspati means from the forest. But what it really means in Sanskrit is a flower that has an invisible, a plant that has an invisible flower. एक पौधा जिसका जो फूल है वो दिखाई ना दे. तो अब आजकल क्या हो रहा है बनस्पति में? बनस्पति जो है अलग अलग नामों से बिकती है. एक द से नाम है बहुत फेमस. तो उसमें जब आप पॉइजन डालते हैं लोग उसको खाते हैं और उनको पता भी नहीं है कि वो जो खा रहे हैं ना वो घी है ना मक्खन है ना वो क्रीम है. वो लोग एक इंग्रेडिएंट खा रहे हैं जिसके अंदर जहर मिला हुआ है और वो आर्टरियों के अंदर जाके दिल के अंदर जाके उसकी आर्टरीज को क्लॉग कर देता. So Vanaspati, the trans fats that we are talking about, these vegetable based dairy ingredients are killing us in an invisible form, and it's very important to advocate for dairy, which by itself is not the cleanest ingredient either. It's pure, it's delicious, it's yummy. But Indian grandmothers ate it in moderation, but with pride. क्योंकि वो दाल बनाते थे सब्जी के तेल के साथ फूल, with a liquid oil, but एंड में खुशबू के लिए सौंधेपन के लिए घी डालते थे. गर्म से हमें भी अब वही सीखनी है हरकतें और बनस्पति को अपनी लाइफ से निकालना चाहिए.
So I just want to ask you, I mean, the question the topic is quite interesting for the simple reason that for the last I don't know, couple of decades at least, I think people have been, calorie conscious as well, and dairy is associated with heavy calories. So all these substitutes that you're talking about, whether it is vanaspati, whether it is margarine, whether it is some sort of oils or trans fats that are used in dairy or dairy substitute products, were supposedly lower calorie and therefore more healthy. But now the sort of argument is shifted all the way back around. So, I mean, maybe you can come in on this and then we can get Mr. Prajapati in as well. Just on something like just the understanding
The argument
for the
has
layperson.
never shifted. Science has never wavered. But the food industry has corporations, some like Amul, which are basing their business on mostly pure ingredients. Others are chemical-based corporations, which take a pure ingredient and spin it into 300 analogs that have similarities to pure ingredients, but have nothing pure about them. What they have is a $7 billion industry that does it. All it does is market poison, and it creates an advertising campaign that creates fads and science based on that need to create a consumer base that will buy that crap and crave it. When I arrived in America, I was skinnier than you, Maya, and then I became a balloon in America. because I started eating
Heck
Vanaspati-based
up, I certainly am. So yeah, thanks.
Crisco-based products.
हाँ.
तो मैं एयरपोर्ट पहुंचता था, वो मेरे को चिप्स के बैग्स दिखते थे, मेरे को वो ऑयल्स होते थे,
Shortening, they call it
shortening, better than butter, shortening, Crisco. The industry taught people to forget what their grandmothers and great-grandmothers and theirs were doing for millennia, while the Harvard medical schools in all of the world were shouting. Who was silencing them? The governments which were in cahoots with the corporations that were giving taxes and getting tax abatements to sell poison to the populace. So, the science has never wavered, but we extrapolate from science the 1 or 2 sentences that suit our needs. When is Vanaspati better? Never. But when is butter better than olive oil or mustard oil? When you're eating beef tallow or duck fat or animal fat that's congealed, of course, then any vegetable fat is better. But they don't tell you that it's poison compared to peanut oil and butter, Vanaspati.
Right.
So, that's the truth doesn't come out. That's all that's happening.
Okay, well, let's just get Mr. Prajapati in also on this, because I mean, from a scientific perspective, Suvir is making the point that the science has never wavered on this. So, Mr. Prajapati, what do you say to people who say, but we don't want to consume so many calories, which is why we're having dairy substitutes?
Oh, as far as the science says, calorie related to the quantity. See, fat gives 9 kilocalorie per gram or so. So whether it is vegetable fat or dairy fat, it doesn't matter much.
It's the quality.
So calorie is not a problem. Calorie is not the issue. Calorie issue is sugar and other carbohydrates and protein. Everything is multiplied by a fixed factor. But it is the quality of the fat which you are taking that is more important. And the major issue is that all these analogs has not come only from health perspective. It has come from other perspective. Because if you are selling analog, that means you are telling your Vanaspati product something similar to a dairy product. That means you are trying to confuse the consumer. And consumer takes it considering that he's taking a dairy product. For example, margarine and butter. They look alike. Now, you want to claim on one side that this my margarine healthy and then I want to sell it like this, but everything looks like butter, and probably you might have seen somewhere some vendors they are putting the same margarine in a Amul packet outside, but they are using margarine pav bhaji. So it is kind of confusing the customers and probably kind of a cheating to the customer that in the name of the dairy product you are trying to sell the products with vegetable oils or other ingredients. It is not only a question of fat, there are many other things also. But as far as quality of fat is concerned, probably Dr. Aparnath is a very good chemist of this country. And if somebody is arguing on the type of fat, probably he will be the right person to answer. But mind well that milk fat is protected by fat globule membrane. So if somebody wants to blame it, it is wrong, because this membrane is protecting it and it makes it more healthy. See, we have an experience of thousands of years that we are consuming ghee. In between, for some time, it was blamed because of cholesterol.
Yeah.
Now the cholesterol is not in the list of the bad compounds in the WHO this thing. So these things are changing, but dairy products are healthy. It will remain healthy. They were healthy, they are healthy, and they will remain healthy. That is my perspective.
Okay, we'll get Dr. Aparnath in a moment when their mic is not on mute. But Suvir, let me just bring that back to you, because I mean, one thing is about sort of the calorie, the quality of the calorie, the number of the amount of calories, etc. The other question or the other view is that as you see, and this is a global trend, you sort of not just rising vegetarianism, but rising veganism in some parts of the world. How does that square off with a dairy company like Amul? I mean, I've grown up on Amul products for as long as I can remember, but I've also witnessed that debate. I mean, I have arguments with my own family members about turning vegan. And I mean, I can't do it. I cannot imagine a life without dairy. So,
and I think, Maya, you are thinking like any majority of the human beings. I can't call them respectable, but majority of us that are centered in reality There's another thing that dairy brings to us, vegetarians, is the ability to gain benefit from eating legumes, beans, lentils, the proteins we have. In the absence of dairy, we'll have to take pills to get folate in the body, because otherwise you only get it in meat. So dairy is essential for the human body. We are the only mammal that drinks dairy past being on our mother's bosom.
Yeah.
But that is where dairy becomes a slippery slope. I agree with Dr. Prajapati that dairy is a good thing, but it's a good thing when it's had in moderation, like all the other good things in life. That, you have to, indulgence is supposed to be moderate. Whether you're eating too much of dairy or too much of Karela, if you keep eating Karela endless, you'll also get diarrhea and die in a hospital because of some kind of something happening to you with too much fiber. So dairy should be moderate use, but dairy substitutes are not dairy. But now let's go back to your point that what to do with vegans. They'll exist for so many years till they die of diseases that come from not having enough folate in their body. So what do the Greek do? What do the ancient Indians, what did they do? They had cheese, they had some yogurt, paneer, chena. You got your dairy in little bits in these indulgences. And that little bit of yogurt every day or every other day gave you all the nutrition you need to get from dairy to live as a sound human being. And then you ate mostly plant-based food. So there's logic in eating like Indians did, mostly plant-based cooking with dairy added for flavor, for depth of flavor, and for rewarding. Every human being who's vegetarian needs some indulgence. हम हड्डियों के पीछे तो जा नहीं रहे, मारो तो चूस नहीं रहे, तो हम लोगों को क्या ट्रीट मिलेगी? वो कभी कभी पनीर मिल जाएगी, कभी एक हमने gulab jamun kha liya. These are our treats to justify good behavior. And we all need treats given to us in life if we want our fads to become lifestyle. Otherwise, veganism is a fad. You need mindfulness, not fads.
But Suvir, let me ask you a question, because if you go further east into Asian cuisines, you see an absolute sort of vanishing of dairy from the menu and from their diets. They have they'll have a sort of tofu, for example.
So, madam, but what are they getting that you're forgetting? Lots of seafood, lots of poultry. So what dairy gives us in terms of that requirement of folate for the body is coming from all the seafood
directly from animal sources.
Yeah, they are getting they're using animal fat, they're using animal protein. They don't have to worry. We are the pure vegetarians of the world. But the beauty of our vegetarianism was it was based in science. That we understood yogurt is essential for the gut. I'm the only chef on the board of Brigham and Women Hospital at Harvard. I teach physicians and all how to eat and cook. They didn't call me because of my Bollywood good looks. They invited me for bringing the Indian cooking expertise to the fore. Indians have eaten through millennia like sensible people, mostly plant-based foods with a little animal protein and fat coming through dairy. And sometimes we cheat and eat chicken or meat or whatever. But if we can eat all plant-based food with milk and dairy, yogurt, cheeses, it's excellent. The Mediterranean diet, the blue zones diet of the world. Blue zones are the places where people live to be 90 plus, 100 plus. They eat all plant-based foods and they indulge in yogurt and cheese. So they're living with that and they live to be 100 and they're dancing away till 99 or 100 till they die. And they sustain themselves to plant-based food with dairy added for some pleasure and a reward. That's where we should be heading.
Okay, so if KD Aparnathi can get into this call, their mic has been on mute and I've not been able to see them, which is why I haven't gone to them. So I'll give them a couple of moments to get that sorted. But Mr. Prajapati, if you can actually come in on what Suvir is saying in terms of,
I think her mic, Dr. Aparnathi is now unmuted. She'll talk, I think.
Right. Okay. So Dr. Aparnathi, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard most of this call, this conversation, right?
Yes, we are right from beginning. When Sodhi sir started, I am already viewing the program.
Right. Okay. So I think one of the questions that I wanted to ask you also as a scientist is, when you're talking about the nutritional value of dairy versus other animal fats, or the value of dairy versus dairy substitutes, which a lot of vegetarians want to try and propagate right now. How do you feel that the argument should be made so that people don't start eliminating dairy from their diet? Because there are, as Suvir is also pointing out, apart from folate, I mean, there are multiple, not just nutritional values, but also comfort food values that are associated with dairy. I think, having a scoop of ice cream or having hot melted butter on toast or having a grilled cheese sandwich just makes you feel good.
We have two different types of foods. Two sources, basically, plant source and animal source. Each source has its advantages and some limitation. So we have to blend both them so that we can have complementary and supplementary effect of each other. And for pure vegetarian, it has already been said that milk is the only source for animal fat and animal protein. Those who are not taking fish or meat or other things, for them only available source is milk, milk protein as well as milk fat. And so far as fat is concerned, whatever analogs are there, main substitute is fat. That is characterized by its fatty acids. All fats, they are fats. But how they are different? They are different with respect to their fatty acid content, constituent fatty acid. And these fatty acids have three major groups: short chain fatty acid, medium chain fatty acid, and long chain fatty acids. Whatever palm oil or vegetable oils, they are mostly having long chain only. They don't have minimum, medium, and no short chain fatty acid. Milk fat has a beauty unique in the sense that only short chain fatty acids are found in milk fat only. And that is how the health benefits of milk fat are attributed to that.
Okay, Suvi, let me just come back to you because, there's a question that's already come in from someone named Swasti. And the question is, and this is a question I think many of us have, how does a layperson know when they're going out to buy ostensibly a dairy product or a dairy substitute product that A, one is a dairy substitute and not necessarily dairy, and B, that what is not dairy but made with vegetable oils or whatever it might be has higher trans fats and potentially is more harmful to you than having just a tiny bit of dairy?
It's a slippery slope. It's a very difficult question. But the only thing I can say, and I feel badly because Amul is not paying me, so I can say it. You have to go after brands that you can trust. You have to go looking at farms where you've actually visited a farm. In India, the word organic and natural means nothing because anybody who has money can print the thappa organic and natural and go get away with it. But go looking at the farm that is telling you, I'm giving you pure milk butter, pure milk cream. Say, where is the farm? Drive up. Or in the absence of that, we hope we can trust our government for having the affiliation with Amul and companies like this to be supervising them closely, and the longevity of these companies existing. Perhaps the scandals are fewer. So I would go, in the absence of knowing every other little small retailer and buying a sasta butter, I would buy the little Amul butter, which I can trust that's been existed since the 50s. I would think in my head, chalo, I'll trust them. And that is all you can do. Otherwise, you have to believe what the product packaging tells you. And often it can be bogus, especially in smaller countries where the standards for food safety, food advertising, food standards is much lower. We have to go with established brands and sometimes maybe pay a little more to just make sure that we are getting the right product. There is no good answer for this. You have to go with better known brands or go to the farm and say, "Meko gaay dikhao, doodh aap wahan se nikal rahe ho, Fevicol to nahi hai kisi kamron mein chupa hua." You have to almost do jasusi. If somebody is supplying Fevicol to them to put in the bags. There's a huge scandal in India that Fevicol goes into milk. We have to study all of this.
And then if I'm allowed,
yes,
Maya ji, if you check the ingredients on the pack.
But that can be made up by people who don't have scruples, Mr. Sodhi.
May I add to this?
Yes,
May I add to this?
Yes, Mr. Aparna.
Hello.
Yes,
yes. Because me and Dr. J.B. Prajapati both are a member of our Food Safety Authority of India. And our Food Safety Authority is working on that, how to identify whether it is dairy or not. they are developing one symbol.
Hmm.
I think it is in a somewhere a higher stage. We have already crossed, and it will be under consideration at a higher stage. One specific logo is designed that it can be put only for pure dairy.
Wonderful.
If there is anything other than that, they cannot put that logo. Analog cannot have that logo of dairy that we are designing, and it is, I think, at the highest stage of consideration.
So, Mr. Prajapati, that's a question for you as well. I mean, do you think you'll be able to implement that? Will it be followed? I mean, we are, very often people say that there's lots of jugaad on the market for people who want to, circumvent guidelines and restrictions. And will they be able to do this? There's also another question that's come in for you specifically, Mr. Prajapati, and that's a question on the quality of protein from animal produce and fat from vegetable produce. Is it better to have animal protein and vegetable fat, or what?
Yeah, actually, I was just looking to that. As far as the Food Safety Authority is concerned, we had a lot of discussion on these analogs. And earlier, before I took over as chairperson of that, there was also discussion that because there was somebody raised the question, how do you identify that it is butter or margarine after you open the packet? So we were thinking that we have to make something which will make visibly different product. This is margarine and this is the butter. See, in principle, we are not against any vegetable product, but when it is blaming dairy and trying to encash on that, that is something serious. And then, as I told earlier, that you are selling it in the name of dairy products, and that is why we call them as analog. So, if, for example, in butter and margarine, if you make some change in color so that visibly somebody can see, maybe butter is yellow, margarine can be pink or something else, that can help. So that is one measure which we can suggest. Second thing, we suggested to have a logo, as Dr. Aparna already pointed out. I do not know how long it will take to come into shape, but there are many other things also which are playing a role into this. And see, the milk protein which are there, especially the whey proteins, they are well known for their functional properties, their therapeutic properties. There are many other specific characteristics.
And gut health and things.
We call them as sometimes superfood, those proteins. And especially in this time of COVID, today morning I was discussing on new products with another panel for immunoboosting, that the lactoferrins, the immunoglobulins. You might have seen Sumul's probably video a few days back on the TV, that they have dried the colostrum, that initially 2 or 3 days milk and then making it rich in immunoglobulins, which will help in increasing the immunity of the body. I was also talking a few days before about fermented dairy products, especially lassi, chas, dahi, other things, having healthy bacteria, because the immunity mainly comes from the gut. And if such foods are in naturally available form, they will definitely improve your strength. If you
the probiotic that we keep talking about.
Yeah, so that is there is a quite big range of such products which we are trying to now develop as superfoods and so.
So, you wanted to come in on something that Dr. Prajapati was saying just
I think one of the things that we've succeeded in doing in the US used to be one of the world's most obese and fattest and one of the sickest nations in the planet. It's getting better because one of the things they've done is banned trans fats in the American foodways, at least in the retail market, that nobody selling food for money can use that rubbish. In India,
over here, I mean, you could just sort of tag this on to what you're saying. If I go into a mithai shop, for example, right, the halwai will ask me, "Aapko ghee ka chahiye ki dalda ka chahiye?" They openly ask you this, right?
But it should not be allowed. Dalda should be banned. The banaspati should not be used. Whatever name it comes under, I don't care. But in the US, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, anybody working in New York City as a seller of food today cannot sell anything that has trans fat in it. That's the law of the land, because trans fat, we know, causes severe health problems. And who's paying for it in the end? The government and the people in taxes. So we need, as a nation, we need to fix it.
Yes, trans fat is the main culprit. That is the reason. Trans fatty acid, oils have a cis fatty acid. Oil as such cannot be used in the dairy product. So hydrogenation process, chemical process is done to make it solid. And it will convert cis form into trans form. And that trans form is having a straight line.
Yeah.
Fatty acid becomes straight. Cis is having a kink. And kink cannot be deposited. That trans fat pile up with one over other, and it will get artery choked. That is the main culprit, trans fat.
And the straight line is from eating it in your mouth to hospital bed. It's only time. There's no other straight line. The straight line is from mouth to hospital, eating trans fat. And study after study after study has shown it in all developed countries where they first used hydrogenated fat. And now the corporations that made it there are selling it in India and Asia because it's easier for them to find guinea pigs here. Uneducated people, ill-educated people, poorly educated people. So that's one thing. And the other end is the operators who are buying them. They're not buying them because they're not educated. They know they're buying poison, but their bottom line and food costs are kept easier at a better number. So they buy poison knowing they're buying poison for their own people. So we have to fix it both ways. There should be a national ban on trans fats, and businesses that still use them should be punished. Because the science is clear, history is clear, we need to fix it. Am I wrong, Dr. Prajapati Naparnati?
You are absolutely right. That is the reason we are opposing the analog, because in an analog such a trans fat is used.
Right. Okay. But the other question I have is that there's also a cost factor involved, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
the bottom line.
The bottom line is that the bottom line right now for a consumer as well is how much they're going to pay for a liter of ice cream or frozen dessert, for example. And in these times that we are entering, in the sort of economically depressed times that we are entering, do you think that there's going to be, even if people are not able to access stuff with substitutes or trans fats or hydrogenated fats or whatever, are they going to stop purchasing? Is that going to be an issue? And I think after you come in on this, Suvi, this is also really a question for Mr. Sodhi, because I mean, Amul is it's sort of India's brand. I'm not a brand ambassador for Amul, but really, like, you look forward to the ad in the newspaper कि इस हफ्ते कौन सी news story को लेके उन्होंने अपना ad बनाया. It's always a commentary on India as a society, as a country. So there are other brands as well. There are many other dairy brands in India. But there is a reason, or maybe Mr. Sodhi will tell us the reason why Amul has managed to stay on top of that game at least. But
Mr. Sodhi, you should go first.
Yeah, Mr. Sodhi, why don't you respond to this first?
I mean, if Amul is today number one brand, it's not a new brand, it's 74 years old brand.
Right.
And we have been working with our consumers for generations. This is the third generation. And you see, Dr. Kurian, you can see behind me.
Yeah.
He used to always tell us that whatever you want to do your product, please think always that consumer is smarter than you. Don't try to cheat your consumer, and try to build such a relationship where you can get his or her blind faith in a brand. And blind faith is like the faith we have got on religion. And when you talk about religion, what comes to your mind? Purity. No, I mean, that is the thing. So whatever we do, I mean, our products will be pure, using natural ingredients. Our policies, our principles, our transactions, our relationship, we always base on purity. And that is why for 3 generations consumers are with us. Any housewife, when she walks into any shop, she never looks left or right. She'll pick the Amul butter like Suvir Saab ne abhi aapko dikhaya, because she has got the faith. And that comes because of pure relationship. And pure relationship will come only when you deal with the purity and natural products with very naturalness.
But to your point, Maya, it's a very important question, that how do you help somebody who doesn't have the ability to pay so much more money for pure products, it goes to awareness. We have to then somehow, with Mr. Sodhi and Amul's backing, create smaller portion sizes for these retail products that can be a little more affordable. Also, awareness campaigns where you go give people a taste. In the US, where one of our people who's joined us is continuously bashing the United States for having low immunity, bad products. And I agree with him. I can't disagree with him. But the Indians today are the fattest and the sickest and most obesity-ridden people in the planet. That's also no debating there. We have the world's highest incidence of cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and moti toned. Nobody has a fatter tone than Indians. So that's not happening because we are not eating dairy. Dairy may be contributing to it. But what we are eating is not real dairy. We are eating the analogs, and they are the ones killing us. But if you take the now to the real answer you wanted, you eat less when you eat pure. When you eat one chammach of real ice cream, you say, wow, your tongue has a pleasant feel. When you eat dalda-based ice cream, the vanaspati-based ice cream, you can keep eating, you don't get satiety. Satiety, जो आपको खाना खा के जो आपकी नीयत भरती है, that comes from eating a pure ingredient-based dish that has purity, consistency, and memories all attached to it. So the person eating sasta khana is eating more like a vacuum cleaner because पेट तो भर गया पर नीयत नहीं भर रही है. That is different. Satiety and fullness are two very different things. When you're eating bags of chips, you're gaining weight because you can eat 10 bags of chips. But वो जो घी के तड़के वाली दाल आपने रोटी या चावल के साथ खाई, उससे नियत भर जाती है और फिर आप काम कर सकते हो. पर अगर आप चिप्स और केचप खा रहे हो, आप बोल पे बोल खाओगे, आपकी ब्रेन हंगर से खा रही है, पर आपकी ब्रेन को खुशी नहीं मिलती है. That's the difference between satiety and hunger and addiction.
How, as a restaurateur and a chef, how do you think that, for example, where the Indian F&B industry is today and looking at in terms of revival after this, the pressure on using pure products and keeping price points? I mean, it's one thing to sell a small package. It's one thing for people who are going to be ordering a meal or going out to a restaurant to know. I mean, I can go to a bakery because it's somebody's birthday and I want to order a birthday cake. But do I know that that birthday cake has been made with butter or cream or with a substitute?
You know that 99% of all bakeries in India are using that fake dairy. So you can be assured of that. You can be assured of that 99% of what we are eating in India is cake and ice cream and dairy products are not dairy. So don't even waste your time asking. It's the time for a revolution in India where the customer grows up and says, I demand dairy and we have to boycott. There's a gentleman who keeps talking about the US percentage of obesity. We go back to Dr. Prajapati saying, calorie does not equal quality. Quality of calorie makes you fat. But if you're a fat person eating good calories, chances are your heart still doesn't have clogged arteries. You can be a skinny Indian laborer who's eating nothing but the sasta ready wale ka khana. But unfortunately, it's banaspati that's been used to fry ingredients 10 times. So it's banaspati that is worse than eating petrol. Usme apne tala Indian khana. When you eat that, you can be skinny and have clogged arteries and die at a rate higher than any fat American, because the fat American is still eating cleaner food. So obesity doesn't equal to bad health. And again, it comes to the quality versus quantity. And how you get it is you make people aware. You, as restaurateurs, as the food industry in America, the biggest challenge was, how do you get McDonald's to switch to more expensive, cleaner fat than Wendy's? So at the Culinary Institute of America, we decided to have a conference called Worlds of Healthy Flavors, where we brought in the CEOs and executive chefs of all the big chain restaurants of America and told them this information that we are sharing here today and said, guys and ladies and gents, do you want to kill your customers or want to give them better product and longer lives? Right. When they were all in agreement, they all decided they will switch the from the nasty trans fat to real fats. And the day that happened, they all increased their price by a few pennies, but they all did it across the board. One CEO was not afraid that the other won't do it, and then the cost for one would be cheaper and the other would be more expensive.
Right. So we have a comment that's coming in from Kiran Suvarna, who's the executive chef of the Meridian in Mahabaleshwar, who said that they get guests in the restaurants who are lactose intolerant, and only then do they use almond milk or soy milk to serve them in terms of a dairy substitute to make desserts for the customers. Is that a feasible option? Because almond milk can be quite expensive as well. And is it really a dairy substitute?
No, and it's not a healthy substitute either. The reality is that what we've done as a world, we are so addicted to our cravings. If you're intolerant of dairy, avoid it. There are so many other beautiful desserts available in the market. Why do you have to go chasing a dairy-based dessert? In the old days, you would have said, "Acha beta mat khao." But today we want to make everything even. Reality is almond milk and soy milk and all these other nut milks are not a substitute.
Just out of curiosity, what is a good non-dairy dessert? I mean,
substitute for lactose intolerance. Please, substitute for lactose intolerance has already been developed by our Amul. Lactose hydrolyzed milk.
Right.
So once lactose is hydrolyzed in the milk, it won't create any lactose intolerance problem.
And there's A2 milk. There's A2 milk that a lot of people are lactose intolerant, are not intolerant of A2 milk. But that, what are the, there's meetha paratha, wo khao.
Just to add to this question, actually, that is one of the options to get rid of lactose intolerance is that you take those products where the lactose has been hydrolyzed, just like dahi, where almost 25 to 35% or 30% of lactose is already utilized. And that also contains microbes that will utilize the lactose in your body also when they go.
For gut health.
That is why that is a substitute for them, that if you cannot digest milk, take chas or lassi or dahi, and then you have double advantages, that content of lactose initially is less and the lactose is getting continuously digested in your gut also if your bacteria are remaining alive. So these are also one of the alternatives you can have.
Yeah, but I mean, for a regular diet, I suppose dahi, lassi, chaat, these are, for Indians at least, these are regular options, and across the country there are different variants of how they do this. But my question was more in terms of the sweets, and the dairy is also associated, like I said, with feel good, comfort, chocolate, ice cream.
But chocolate is
baked with butter.
They're making chocolate with the other milks that you talked about, coconut milk and nut milks. And
so basically you're saying apart from these dessert options?
We have frozen yogurt. Frozen
yogurt. You can make cakes with oil. You can make cakes with vegetable oil that are delicious. Olive oil cake, the Greek and all eat, it's amazing, no butter in it. So there are plenty of vegetables. You have to use your brain. We have to be less of sheeple and more we have to become people. That we have to start experimenting, playing around. Substituting dairy with a fake dairy doesn't make a good dessert. It's often creating new recipes that are just as brilliant and salient as the desserts we crave with dairy. If you're lactose intolerant, how can you have a dessert craving that has dairy in it? You're only hearing people tell you, oh, it's yummy. But if you truly are lactose intolerant, if you've never had it, you don't have a craving.
You have the sorbet instead of the ice cream.
Yeah.
Right?
But we become sheeple. We have mob mentality. We want to run where everybody is running.
Might want to explain what sheeple is.
It's people who believe everything somebody else is telling them. They've left their brain.
People who behave like sheep is what I'm trying to say.
That's what sheeple are. Right. Not like you, Maya.
No, I hope not. But I think, one of the points that across the panelists, they seem to be converging on is that of awareness and education. Because it's only when people learn about what they eat, read about what they eat, what they put into their bodies, that makes them more aware. And again, maybe Suvir, you can allude to this, because you keep referring to the US and its struggle with obesity in a population.
Still is,
absolutely. And yet at the same time, when from the White House, there were attempts to make nutrition a policy agenda. I mean, people were accused of being the arugula eating Democrats, as an example.
Yeah.
So, does India have its version of that? Are we that?
We should be doing it. I don't think we are that, but as a nation, Maya, our culture is so ancient, all the way going back to the original civilizations that we now inhabit in the term of geography, to the cultures that have come in here from all the rulers that have come into India, no matter what religion they were. When they arrived in India, they were sensible. There was a mindfulness, there was a connectivity to the land. We ate mostly what was growing seasonally, what was available regionally. We cooked what grew together. That mindfulness is what we should be chasing. And then we don't need to be a policeman to each other.
So who creates this awareness?
It's created through the brilliant Amul campaign that they do at, in Bombay, at that chalk, they have these amazing ads that give thappads to political parties, that do give kudos to actors who've done something fun. I think we have to go back to those jingles and those ad campaigns that teach people how to invest in themselves.
I can add here.
Yeah.
For Amul side, we have done the first campaign which it is telling consumer difference between butter and margarine. Then the famous campaign which became very controversial also, ice cream versus frozen dessert, and we had to go up to the Supreme Court to win the case. Then lately we have started educating consumers on difference between cheese and cheese analog. And I think awareness among consumers is growing. Only thing is what is needed is more scientific way communicating, people telling about the ill effects of analog is necessary.
And Mr. Sodhi, in Canada, Maya, the Canadian government calls cheeses from America that are analog cheeses, cheese-like substance. They don't, the package has to say cheese-like substance. So in India, we should be doing that. In Hindi or English mein likha jaye ki cheese nahi hai, ye cheese jaisa bhoot hai.
Dr. Prajapati, please note.
Tell people all that we've done with cheese.
Yeah, Dr. Prajapati wants to come in on this. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to just support to this because we are trying many things, and especially when it is not this is not a dairy product, that kind of label will also come. But I am referring back to your question about the pricing, because somebody asked in the chat also that what about the pricing? So pricing of the real dairy products and analogs is just a illusion that analogs are cheaper. Many times analogs are sold at higher price than dairy. That is also seen. You can compare the ice cream, Amul ice cream, and that frozen dessert which is being sold by big brand. They are costlier even though they are made from vegetable fat. So it's not that analogs are being sold at a cheaper rate. And somebody posed a question that then what is the substitute for getting fat or oil? Like, there is no harm that if you cannot purchase ghee sold at 500 rupees a kilogram, you can go for natural oil. Don't go for trans fat.
Yeah.
You can go for groundnut oil. You can go for sunflower oil. Use that. That is much cheaper than the real fat. But don't go for trans fat and dalda and then spoil your face.
So how does one know what is trans fat and what is?
I can tell you very quickly. I'll tell you very quickly. When I was doing this, I asked Dr. Willett, the chairman of the School of Public Health at Harvard. I said, Dr. Willett, I'm going to the enemy's den because to Dr. Willett, dairy is the enemy. I said, are you going to fire me from the board? He said, no, your country needs education on understanding dairy is better than trans fat. So that's where the education lies, that dairy is not everything that every Baba and every company in India is telling us it is, but dairy is better than the poison that is trans fat. So I said, Dr. Willett, how do I tell Indians that what is safe for them? He said, tell them when you cook with oils that resemble water, that are liquid. Liquid oils are good oils to cook in 100% of the time. Then there is ghee and butter. He said, when do you have those? You have them with a little bit on toast. You eat it when you put tadka in a dal. Why is ghee with tadka a good thing? But you eat dals which are full of fiber, lots of vegetable, plant-based protein. Now you put 1 tablespoon of ghee, it's not going to kill you. It will make that healthy dal even more delicious. So then you're eating a good food and it's okay. So Dr. Willett said, if you're eating good leafy greens, if you're eating legumes and whole grains and beans and lentils, if you put a tablespoon of ghee, nothing wrong. It's when you cook meat with more ghee in it and more butter on toast, then you're a fool eating rubbish. But if you're eating a plant-based diet, a little ghee, a little butter are good indulgences. But for majority of our cooking, that, like Dr. Prajapati said, oil, a vegetable oil, whether it's groundnut oil or sesame oil or sunflower oil or rapeseed oil, these are very good oils to have. And the bad fat coming here is the trans fat, which looks like ghee, looks like butter, but it's not real. Go for the real ghee and butter that has Amul brand or any other dairy that you know is real. Buy that. Don't buy that corporated, made in a corporation in a petri dish, hydrogenated rubbish that looks like ghee or cream. That is what's killing you, not the real thing.
And I think for general public consumption, for the most part, vegetable oils, or as you said, the ones that look like liquid or look like water, they tend not to solidify irrespective of the temperature.
They never will. But dalda would. See, ghee ko aap डालते हो धूप पे वो पिघल जाएगा. Dalda बहुत देर में पिघलेगा. Ghee will melt before dalda. In Canada, in Manitoba, they have a museum. It's a trans fat museum. You walk up dalda. They have a whole home built of dalda. It won't melt. The sun is out, but the dalda won't melt. Ghee will melt. You put ghee out in the sun, it will melt. Dalda will melt much later. It takes a truck to crush dalda when you have to. So, but that's what it's doing in your arteries. Dalda is clogging your arteries for the same very reason, that it's difficult to melt. Your body temperature doesn't melt it. It doesn't flow through your arteries.
Okay.
Am I wrong, Dr. Prajapati and Aparnati?
You are correct.
Correct.
That is the reason trans fat is a villain.
And actually, this process itself chemically synthesize these fatty acids, and then the melting is very difficult. And they do it also for increasing shelf life of such thing, and they use it for repeatedly boiling in that time. So this is all practices which should be eliminated as far as possible, and people should be educated about this.
Right.
And Maya, this leads us to...
Just a minute. This cheaper substitute came in the wake of the World War, when India has not sufficient, some countries had no milk fat. In that time, somebody has invented that, and still it is carried on. Now we have plenty of milk, plenty of availability, so we should get rid of this.
Mara gaon Kathiawari jahan doodh ki nadiyan bahe. But Maya, the thing that happens here is that Dr. Prajapati, Aparnati, both of them, I think, hinted at. Today, trans fat is not being used just for price alone. When you fry in that trans fat, anything you fry will remain solid like brick for not only 1 day, but for 15 days. And it is so poisonous that even natural bacteria will not grow on it for like 35 days. So the shelf life is increased. So a good hotel, a good baker that you love at your neighborhood can make a cake 20 days before and bring it out and ice it with more rubbish and sell it to you. You bring it home, keep it at room temperature, nothing will melt. It looks beautiful, it looks pretty, it tastes like what you've been eating for 30 years as poison. You don't understand better. They are laughing all the way to the bank because labor cost is cheaper, sometimes food cost is cheaper, and they don't care that your health is of no concern to them. So we have to educate ourselves to demand better. And that said, nowadays, Veer Sanghvi, an incredible journalist of India, one of the best food journalists of India, went and studied with these hotels why they are feeding people poison. Chef after chef said to him, when we make cake with real butter and real buttercream, people don't want to buy it because that cream is tender and soft and luscious and velvety. But what they're used to eating is like a brick, which has an icing that's like almost like a cement in your mouth. But 40 years of eating that rubbish, you've gotten used to it. Right. So now to teach people to eat good food again will take a generation of teaching. And Amul has to do it. I as a chef have to be behind it. And corporations have to say we value our human lives more than the profiting.
Right. And I think that's a fantastic note to end this conversation on. It's 5:20, so we're completely out of time, but thank you all so much. I know I've learned a lot. Like I said, I don't know why I was asked to moderate this, but I do love food, and I love dairy, and I love butter and ghee and ice cream and dahi and all of it together. So I was quite pleased to actually have this conversation and learn as much as I have. Thank you all so much. Mr. Sodhi, I'll hand back to you with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Suviji, for wonderful giving a lot of knowledge, technical, sport, etc. And Maya ji, thank you very much for moderating the whole session very, very lively. I'm also thankful to Dr. J.B. Prajapati and Dr. Aparnathi for their very good technical inputs, and all the participants for asking very, very pertinent questions and making this whole webinar very useful for, I think, for all the viewers. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.